If your baseline for comparison is an idealistic view of what OpenAI was meant to be, this is a catastrophe. Now that quote from legal advocate Tyler Whitmer, it perfectly hits the nail on the head. It captures the sheer, massive stakes of what we're looking at today. We are talking about literally the most important corporate restructure of our time. It's a high-stakes battle over the future of artificial general intelligence, AGI, and just hundreds of billions of dollars.
So, welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this fascinating legal drama today. We're going to untangle this incredibly complex settlement between OpenAI and state regulators. Whether you're a hardcore tech enthusiast, someone who follows legal policy, or honestly just someone wondering who actually holds the keys to the future of AI, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down exactly what went down, what was won, what was lost, and most importantly, why this matters so much to every single one of us.
All right, let's jump right into it. Here's our roadmap for untangling this massive corporate knot. First, we'll look at the radical restructure plan. Second, how regulators hit the brakes. Third, how safety gets real teeth. Fourth, we'll follow the money. Fifth, we're going to ask the big one, who controls AGI? And finally, number 6, what actually happens next?
Okay, kicking things off with part 1, the radical restructure plan.
To really wrap our heads around this settlement, we've got to look at the inciting incident, right? Back in 2015, OpenAI's original mission was this irrevocable commitment to ensure AGI benefits all of humanity. Zero private gain, period. But then, flash forward to December 2024, and they proposed a massive, radical pivot. They pitched completely sidelining the nonprofit entity, basically turning it into a minority shareholder that just hands out generic charitable grants for things like health and education, totally untethered from AI safety. It was a huge shift, and it spread like wildfire among public watchdogs and legal experts who thought, wait a minute, this looks like a flagrant misappropriation of public resources just to benefit private investors.
Which leads us straight into part 2, regulators hit the brakes.
Because, as it turns out, you can't just wave a magic wand and dissolve a massive charitable commitment. That is exactly when the Attorneys General of California and Delaware stepped in. They acted like a literal emergency brake on a runaway train. And the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is what these regulators actually forced onto the new public benefit corporation before they let the deal go through. They didn't just ask nicely, they demanded legally binding concessions. First off, they enshrined the nonprofit safety mission right into the new for-profit charter. That means safety legally overrides profit motives. Huge. Second, they required a majority independent board. Third, they demanded a 21-day advance notice for any governance changes, just so they couldn't be blindsided. And finally, they preserved this remarkable thing called the stop and desist clause. This is a promise that if another project is getting super close to AGI, OpenAI will literally stop racing and assist them instead, just to make sure things stay safe.
Moving on to part 3, safety gets real teeth.
So, with the nonprofit stepping back from the day-to-day grind, how on earth do they actually enforce that safety mission? Well, enter the new Safety and Security Committee. This is a specialized group of 4 people pulled right from the nonprofit board. We've got Zico Coulter, a serious deep machine learning academic, Adam D'Angelo, an experienced tech founder you might know, Paul Nakasone, a retired U.S. Army general with deep roots in cybersecurity, and Nicole Seligman, a heavy-hitting corporate law expert. It is a very diverse, highly credentialed team, and they are tasked with overseeing the company's monumental AI safety decisions.
But here is what's truly mind-blowing about this setup, the sheer amount of power these 4 individuals hold. The Attorneys General made absolutely sure this committee has the ultimate superpower. They have explicit authority to require mitigation measures, up to and including halting the release of AI models entirely. Think about that. Even if a multi-billion-dollar product is perfectly primed and ready to launch, if this committee looks at it and says, nope, unsafe, they can pull the plug. On paper, their authority is absolute. No way around it.
But hey, having power on paper is totally useless if you don't actually have the tools to enforce it in the real world, right? To guarantee this doesn't happen, regulators created a support and services agreement. This is a legal mechanism that basically ensures the safety committee cannot just be starved out by corporate management. They have guaranteed access to the for-profit's computing power, their internal resources, and their staff so they can actually do their job. They can demand to look under the hood of the models and demand that staff help them test things out. It's built right in.
All right, let's pivot to part 4. Follow the money.
Because let's be real, you cannot analyze a corporate restructure of this scale without looking at the balance sheet. And the numbers we are dealing with here are absolutely staggering. $130 billion. That is the jaw-dropping valuation of the newly secured financial equity stake that the nonprofit gets to retain in this new public benefit corporation. Just to put that into perspective, the original December proposal might have only left them with something like 10 to 20% of the value. Regulators pushed back hard, and they got a much fairer deal.
Let's break down exactly what that looks like. The nonprofit holds a solid 26% stake in the whole enterprise. Now, yes, they are technically a minority shareholder, with outside investors and employees holding the other 74%. But let's be super clear about this. In a company that is projected to potentially be worth trillions of dollars, a 26% slice of that pie is an absolutely massive stockpile of resources preserved strictly for public benefit.
And it goes beyond just that equity stake. The nonprofit also holds this mysterious, undisclosed warrant. What we do know is that it pays out if the company's valuation grows 10 times over the next 15 years. But the exact nitty-gritty terms, those remain totally hidden from the public. Fascinating, right? And on top of all that, there's a $25 billion philanthropy fund that was immediately set up to tackle health, disease, and crucially, technical solutions for AI resilience.
Which brings us to the big one. Part 5. Who controls AGI? Look, for all the undeniable wins regulators secured in safety and finance, we really have to address the most tragic trade-off made in this entire settlement. The public basically lost its exclusive claim on artificial general intelligence. There is a very dramatic shift happening here. Back in 2015, the fundamental promise was that once AGI was achieved, it would be governed exclusively by the nonprofit for humanity. Private commercial interests were supposed to be completely shut out. But now, in 2025, this settlement allows the new Public Benefit Corporation to just commercialize AGI like it's any other product. And specifically, Microsoft's incredibly valuable intellectual property rights, which were originally supposed to just terminate once AGI was reached, those now extend all the way to 2032.
And that right there is the ultimate tension we are neutrally weighing today. On paper, sure, the nonprofit mission dictates safety, and it's backed by a really powerful committee and state regulators. But in practice, come on. There are going to be massive, intense, real-world commercial pressures to deploy advanced AI, combined with the fact that they no longer have exclusive control over AGI. It's a hybrid model now. Is it better than a purely unregulated for-profit? Probably, but it is vastly different from that idealistic vault it was originally meant to be.
So, wrapping things up with Part 6, what happens next?
The dust might have settled on the agreement itself, but the true test of this whole corporate structure is literally just beginning. How do we actually keep this massive new entity in check? How is it going to affect the consumer AI products we're all using every single day? Well, if you're tracking the space, here are your actionable takeaways to see if they actually honor the spirit of the deal. First, watch their hiring. The 4 members of that safety committee, they are part-time volunteers. We need to see if they hire dedicated, high-level staff to actually help them oversee a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Second, monitor the board. They are legally required to add more true independent directors over the next year. And third, scrutinize the public filings. Delaware is mandating unprecedented public reports on mission compliance. And get this, if they fall short, shareholders who hold just 2% of the company now actually have the legal standing to file derivative suits in Delaware courts.
All of this leaves us with one final, incredibly provocative thought. When the day finally comes, and we're talking about trillions of dollars of value on the line, will a committee of volunteers really have the intestinal fortitude to pull the plug on a dangerous AI model? The framework is built, the legal rules are set in stone, but at the end of the day, the human element is what's going to decide the ultimate outcome. I highly encourage you to keep a close eye on how this historic legal experiment unfolds. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and as always, keep learning.